What's up, team? Happy whatever day it is that you're listening. Just realize that this is a podcast, so you can listen whenever you want. But today I'm super excited because this is actually a topic that I have honestly been really connected with for a while, but have recently just had a newfound love for, and I'm really excited to share with you when it comes to your metabolism because metabolic science is really complex, and the cool thing about it and the unfortunate thing about it is that everything is super, super intertwined. So, today I'm going to be talking about supplementation. And this is a super hot topic because supplements are all over the market right now, especially for weight loss. So, I'm going to do a lot of debunking. I'm going to tell you supplements, just kind of my general philosophy on them. I'm going to talk about the things about the supplement industry that you need to know from my experience actually working in the supplement industry, if you didn't know that, and brands that we align with here at PCC and why. Why I believe that sometimes you shouldn't take a bunch of supplements before you actually know what's going on and how to go about that. I also have some recommendations for just a few supplements that I do believe that would benefit basically everyone out there, as well as supplements to consider if you're dealing with particular things in your life when it comes to weight loss, metabolism, stress management. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. So, supplements, what exactly are they for? Supplements are just that. They are supplemental to a healthy lifestyle, and they are not going to make or break the symptoms or things that you are experiencing. And so, the biggest thing is not to look at any of the information that I'm going to give you as the golden ticket or the magic pill to solve the thing, because what I will probably come back to over and over and over again is root cause. The root cause of any reason that we need a supplement has something to do with your nutrition or your lifestyle, or sometimes even just your mindset and the way that you perceive certain things. So when it comes to supplementing, they're typically, not always, there are a few that I think are kind of staples year round, but most of them are temporary. And they are to bring you from a place of severe deficiency or necessity for that ingredient, for that nutrient, to a place of balance with it. And then you can either wean off or maintain from there. So, and these are just tools to have in your tool belt because depending on the season of life that you're in, it's good to have the information about what supplements do what so that you have that wealth of knowledge to come back to over time. So, that is that. Now, let's talk about the supplement industry. So, I actually got this question yesterday on a client office hour where one of our clients was basically asking, like, getting these ads for this kind of protein, that kind of protein. They're saying this kind of protein is killing me. Is the supplement that I'm taking killing me? And I was like, oh gosh, this is a whole rabbit hole. So, the thing about the supplement industry, and I guess the health industry in general, is that it's pretty saturated as well as it's grown more sophisticated. So, for example, 10 years ago, you could basically be like, this pill helps you lose weight, buy it. And like that was it. And people would buy it like crazy. Or like the first time that I came out with online coaching, I literally posted, I'm taking online coaching clients. And like people just signed up. And I was like, cool. Now everybody's an online coach. Everybody's got a supplement that they're peddling, right? So the way that they are basically marketing this is that they are trying to fearmonger people into believing that whatever they're currently doing is wrong and bad, and that you need to take their thing in order to solve your problem. So there's a lot of fear baked in to most marketing that you see. And so this is pretty problematic because supplements in general, it is a pretty unregulated industry, meaning that the FDA doesn't have a lot of true oversight into the details of what goes into a lot of these products. And so there can be a lot of shady people getting away with a lot of shady shit. So with that being said, if you didn't know, I worked in the supplement industry. So I worked for a company called Core Nutritionals for about 4 or 5 years or so. I ran their ambassador program. So I was recruiting people to basically promote the product, have discount codes, etc. And it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And being within the supplement industry for such a long period of time, I really learned about what actually goes into the manufacturing of supplements and what to look out for, because thankfully I was with a company that does things with integrity. So I learned a lot through that lens, but I also learned about companies that do not, right? And so things that you need to know about the supplement industry. So one thing that you should look for on labels typically is that a supplement is CGMP certified. So that basically means that the manufacturer has been certified that the ingredients that are on the label are actually in the product that you bought. Simple as that. If it's not if it's not CGMP certified, you don't have that guarantee. Like, that's literally how simply shady the industry can be. So that's one piece. You can also look for, if you don't have CGMP certification, for example, because let's be honest, everything costs money. So if you're buying a supplement from like a smaller company, maybe they don't have that certification. You just want to look for them having transparent third-party testing on their website. So like, did they have somebody actually come in and test for the amounts of the ingredients per serving of their supplement, so that you can know that like you're getting what they are promising they're getting. You also want to look out for things like proprietary blends. This is another kind of workaround to avoid giving you the amount of the supplement that you're looking for. So, for example, we're going to talk about ashwagandha, which is a stress management tool supplement. And basically, the clinical effective dose, the dose that matters, is 400 to 600 milligrams of the root extract itself. And so what a proprietary blend does is it lists a bunch of different ingredients for a total amount of a dose. So let's say the blend is like 1,000 milligrams and it has the ashwagandha in it. It will not specify exactly how much. It's just going to list all the ingredients in order from most to least concentration. And so basically it's telling you that it's in there, but not in what amount. And so what a lot of companies will do is they'll use proprietary blends to skimp on the ingredients that actually matter because they cost more, and fill the product with more ingredients that cost less. So that is going to also shortchange you on just the effectiveness of the product, because the ingredient that you actually need is not in there in its fullest degree. And so I mentioned a couple of things in there. Number one, clinical effective dose. So the clinical effective dose is the amount of the actual supplement ingredient that has been tested and researched to be effective. So, for example, I mentioned ashwagandha. That's an easy one to come back to because I know it off the top of my head. 400 to 600 milligrams at minimum is what's effective to actually give you the benefits of that root extract for your cortisol regulation. And so any less, it's not that it won't work at all, but you're not going to receive the full benefit. Another example is fish oil. So a lot of people, I used to do this too, a lot of people will get their fish oil supplement, omega-3s, from Costco. And I've actually broken down that label for a few people. And essentially what you're looking for in fish oil is not just fish oil, it's EPA and DHA fatty acids. And EPA and DHA fatty acids in that supplement are in the contents of like, I think it's like 100 milligrams in total. And then the rest of the pill is literally filler fish oil. And that's why you get fish burps from having Costco fish oil. And then basically I broke down the math of like, if we want, and the clinical effective dose for most of the health benefits that you'd receive from omega-3s are 1,000 milligrams of those EPA DHA fatty acids a day. So with 1,000 being the dose and 100 being in the capsule, you need 10 capsules a day of fish burps to reach the amount that you want, with basically 10 extra grams of fat from filler in the caps. So we don't want that, right? So clinical effective dose is important to know so that you actually buy supplements with the dosing that's appropriate on the label, not in a proprietary blend. And that's what you want to learn with the reading labels is go look up the clinical effective dose. The best place to do that is examine.com. You just go to examine.com, you type in the name of the supplement, and it'll give you the whole 411 and what's been tested in the research and all of the studies that have been validated from that ingredient. And it'll just give you a whole 411 on it. And then when you look at the label, you want to make sure that it's there in that amount in a single line ingredient listing. Lastly is bioavailability. That's another thing you want to know about the supplement industry where they will shortchange you. So there are many, many ingredients that have many forms. For example, an easy one is zinc or magnesium. So those can come in the form of zinc oxalate, zinc citrate, zinc I forget the other ones, but magnesium citrate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium biglycinate. So there's like 10, 12, 20 different forms of each of these ingredients. Bioavailability is the degree to which it gets absorbed by your body, comparison to other forms, like which are the ones that are best absorbed. And so basically there are forms that are less bioavailable, and those cost less for the company to manufacture. So again, you might see, for example, creatine or magnesium or zinc, where they have zinc in a proprietary blend of multiple different kinds. And there are different kinds, and you look up the bioavailability of each of them, and you find that the one that's in the highest concentration is the lowest bioavailability. This is really, really common, especially with like our grocery store type of like calcium, magnesium, zinc type of supplements that I know a lot of people take because their doctors recommend it. And it's basically like, it's not a total wash, but like you're definitely not getting the absorption that you want out of the product. So pay a couple dollars more for a high quality single form of bioavailable substance, and you will be much better off with the effects that you're looking for. And then bioavailable forms too should be on examine.com. And you can also use ChatGPT. I've been using it a ton. And you could just ask, what are the most to least bioavailable forms of magnesium, of zinc, etc. And there are also specific types of those supplements that are best for like different circumstances. So if you're taking magnesium to help with stress, you might want to lean towards magnesium glycinate versus magnesium citrate. But magnesium for other purposes, there might be better forms for that. So anyways, that's really into the weeds, but you want to know CGMP certified, use examine.com. Make sure you're looking at the bioavailable forms. I'll list a few of them for you. Proprietary blends, avoid those, and look for transparent labeling where you have the exact dose. Okay. Oh, that was a lot. All right. What's next? How are we doing on time? All right. So next, I'll quickly list out some brands that do this, brands we align with. So number one, Nutridyne. So this is who I'm partnered with. This is who I have a discount for our clients from my functional health certification. So basically everybody who's at PCC gets like professional grade pricing. So wholesale pricing, there's no retail markups. And they do everything pretty much like single ingredient type supplements. Thorne is another great one. Personally, I take their magnesium powder before bed and it's my favorite. I love the taste. I love the texture. It's great. Core Nutritionals, as I mentioned, I live right down the street from their headquarters. I worked for them for 5 years. They're amazing. So definitely stand by them still to this day. And Designs for Health is another great evidence-based one that has a lot of great products there that are really formulated for holistic health. Now, there are more companies that do good work out there. Absolutely. These are just the ones that I prefer and I send people to. Now, with that being said, let's make sure that we're not just slapping a bunch of supplements on stuff that we don't know what the actual problem is. So for example, I will tell an embarrassing story. I'm still in this journey. I was really struggling with fatigue, brain fog, energy, irregular cycles, not ever really feeling well rested, even though I was sleeping like 9-10 hours a night, which I know I'm very privileged to be able to do that. I don't have kids, so it is what it is. Enjoying it while I can. I had a hunch that because I really didn't go outside very often, I wasn't getting a lot of sunlight, I figured I must be vitamin D deficient. And I had already been taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day for years as a maintenance dose. And I was like, you know what? Let's just see. Because I know that vitamin D was so important in adrenal function, in hormones, in cortisol levels, in mood stability, in resilience to stress, so many things. So the next day, I decided to just test out doubling my dose. This was back in the summer. And immediately, like that whole day, I was like bouncing off the walls. I felt amazing. I felt like I had so much energy. So I was like, this is it. It's vitamin D. But I didn't have the lab work to back it up. So for a couple months, I took 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day, which is more than a clinical dose. Like more than like if you went to the doctor and they said you were deficient, they gave you a prescription. More than that, they typically give like 7,000 IUs. So I was doing that. And then I got lab work done in like September, I think. And I got the lab work done and I came back and I was like less than 10 points away from toxic levels of vitamin D in my blood. So I came off that real quick, and it's been like four months or so since I've taken any vitamin D. So now I'm going to test again to see where we stand, see if I'm in a good range or if I'm trending towards deficient now that I haven't taken any, and figure out what my maintenance dose should be from there. So the moral of the story, and this is the thing, vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, so you can over accumulate. A lot of vitamins that we're going to talk about, magnesium, B vitamins, etc., you pee out the excess, like you just can't overdose on it. So only really fat soluble vitamins have that danger zone. So that was stupid, essentially. But the moral of the story is don't just slap supplements on things. Test, don't guess for things that can be dangerous like that. We can treat based on just symptoms for vitamins that are water soluble that you pee out. But for ones like vitamin D, you might just want to go to your annual checkup and check on what that vitamin D level was. Okay. So with that being said, there are 3 supplements that I think generally most people need to take and should take. Number 1 is a high quality multivitamin. Emphasis on the high quality because there's 20 plus ingredients in a multivitamin and they all look the same and they'll all have, 100% of this, 100% of that, 133% of that from the grocery store to the brands that I recommended. But again, the form of the bioavailable supplement, the proprietary blends, these things that the grocery store supplements skip on to offer you a $8 price versus something that might be $15 at wholesale price or $20, that's a little bit more, but has the actual amounts that you need, right? So you're not just wasting your money going to something that's just trash in your body. So here's how I like to think of a multivitamin. No matter how nutrient dense your diet is, the amount of food you would have to eat to get 100% of your daily value of every single vitamin and mineral that you need in your diet every day is far more than most likely the caloric deficit you want to be in, especially if you want to be in a caloric deficit. So even at maintenance, any year round, let's take a multivitamin because it's going to dose things higher in water soluble vitamins and lower in fat soluble ones anyways. And I think it's just going to be a great way to, let's say your metabolism, think of it as a leaky bucket. It's actually plugging many of those holes so that you are leaking less and that you are basically patching up any deficiencies and preventing your body from running suboptimally across the board. Okay, so that's going to cover your baseline bases. Next is going to be a fish oil for omega-3 fatty acids. So specifically, if you are vegetarian, vegan, you can do like flaxseed oils or things like, or algae as well for ALAs. But you're looking typically for EPA and DHA fatty acids. And these are going to be, we want 1,000 milligrams per day for optimal brain health, heart health. This can really help with lowering your triglycerides, your cholesterol. It can really help with overall inflammation, bringing down that, helping with joint pain and aches and things. So it is a very, very versatile supplement, and most people are not getting enough EPA, DHA fatty acids unless they're eating fatty fish like salmon, eating plenty of chia seeds, lots of avocados, and unsaturated fats like oils multiple times per week. And like, I'm not even doing that. And I'm a health coach. So it'd be really ridiculous for me to say that, you can get by without it for most people. So fish oil, 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA fatty acids a day. So you have to look for that specific line item, because the fish oil itself, the top line, is not what you want to be looking for. It's the EPA and DHA. You want 1,000 milligrams of that a day. Okay. And then the third one that most people should take, in my opinion, is vitamin D. So again, I want you to check with your doctor, get this lab run first. But what your doctor's range is, the Western medicine range of vitamin D, is typically like, it'll go down to like 20 up to like 60 is like the wide range of saying like what is normal. And the reality is anything below 50 is actually pretty deficient. So you want your ideal level of vitamin D to fall between 60 and 80. And so a lot of people will go to the doctor, they feel like shit, their hormones are all out of balance and they have no energy. Their vitamin D tests at 30 and their doctor says, oh, you're fine, because that's in the normal range, but that's not optimal. So vitamin D, if it's below 50, I would go ahead and start taking it at least 2,000 IUs a day, if not to 5. 5,000 IUs a day is typically a pretty good maintenance dose, but make sure to consult with your doctor on that one just in case. And vitamin D just plays a critical role in a lot of these different systems. So stress management, hormone regulation, adrenal function, modulating the stress response, and it influences a lot of the production of key hormones like cortisol, like sex hormones, like estrogen, testosterone, and also is involved in maintaining thyroid health. So there's a lot that vitamin D does. And if you are deficient, it can contribute to like lower stress resilience. So you basically like are more stressed from smaller things, mood disorders, hormonal imbalances, mental health. Like it is essential. So most people are deficient. Make sure to go outside. Make sure to actually check your vitamin D level. Because I think most people should take it. Now, supplements to consider. So these are things where it's like, it's going to depend on your situation, but these are the ones that keep coming up more and more and more with clients. And so number one is magnesium. So magnesium is really interesting. It has kind of a vicious cycle effect when it comes to stress. So if you are really high strung, you're under a lot of stress a lot with work and life, and you feel like chronic stress is just the name of the game for you, you could be very deficient in magnesium. So this is a water soluble, so you can pee out the excess. But magnesium plays a role in stress management and hormone regulation by calming the nervous system. And so it calms the nervous system, supports your adrenal health, so things that produce cortisol, and in turn helps you maintain hormonal balance indirectly. So it really helps regulate what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This is essentially the system that controls cortisol and your stress response. And so magnesium and cortisol are really interesting because they work together and can really feed a positive or a negative cycle. So when you're really, really stressed and producing a lot of cortisol, magnesium aids in the production of that. But if we are deficient in magnesium, we actually have a worse response to stress. So then we end up producing more cortisol as a result and depleting magnesium further. So if you've been really stressed for a really long period of time, there is a high likelihood that you could be very deficient in magnesium. And therefore, when you are producing tons and tons of cortisol and you're deficient in magnesium, you're also really going to probably be out of line when it comes to estrogen and progesterone, because progesterone and cortisol have the same precursor. So then you're stealing from progesterone to create more cortisol, and then your sex hormones are out of balance and you could become more estrogen dominant. And then on top of that, your stress response gets worse. So when it comes to feeling like little things just get to you more than they ever have before and feeling really strung out all the time, magnesium can really help with calming your nervous system, stress, and sleep. So the best form of this is going to be magnesium glycinate. And so you can get this from Nutridyne. You could get this from Thorne. If you do want like links and stuff, just feel free to send me a message. I'd be happy to link you up with our discount, even if you're not a client. But yeah, basically, yeah, that is how that would look, how that would work. Magnesium's a big one. So you're going to want at least 200 to 400 milligrams per day, typically taken before bed, for this to really have its effect. Okay, so that is magnesium. Next up, that comes up a lot is B vitamins. So B vitamins are honestly really critical for the stress and hormone balance as well. So this is the next two are magnesium, B vitamins, zinc, all have a lot to do with the stress response and then how it feeds into your hormone balance. And really, I mean, will affect your metabolism in the sense that if you are chronically stressed out all the time and these things are all deficient, your metabolism is just going to be running on like stress mode, and you're going to have a higher propensity to store more belly fat versus actually lose it. So B vitamins are critical for managing stress and hormone balance. Like literally, I have a supplement in my cabinet called Stress B Complex. So it can really help with balancing out your mental health. So your neurotransmitter synthesis. So a lot of times, like even people with ADHD can benefit from a B complex vitamin because it kind of helps them replenish the neurotransmitters that their brain is just burning through way too fast. But it could also just support general energy and adrenal gland function. So specifically, B5 aids in cortisol production in the adrenal glands. B6 is great for serotonin, dopamine, GABA neurotransmitters in the brain that will help with mood and stress response. And B12 and folate, which is B9, can support nervous system health and reduce stress-induced inflammation. So all of these B vitamins are really critical to our body's ability to cope with stress and maintain hormonal equilibrium. Again, if we're deficient, then our response to stress is even worse. We produce more cortisol and we deplete these vitamins even further. So it's kind of a negative feedback cycle. All right, so B vitamins, these would be great. A lot of companies that I mentioned just have like a B complex that you can invest in. They're typically pretty affordable too. Zinc is the next one for stress and hormone balance. So zinc is really vital for stress regulation and hormonal balance because it supports the immune system. And so this is where being really, really stressed all the time and depleting zinc can then impact the fact that you get sick after you like are really stressed for a long period of time, right? We all know what that's like. It can also modulate the stress response and influence hormone production. So it's going to help you maintain healthy cortisol levels again and prevent the impacts of excessive or prolonged stress. So it's going to fight against the impacts of chronic stress if it's there. But obviously, if it's not, or if you're going through chronic stress, it's going to get depleted faster. It's also going to synthesize sex hormones like testosterone and helps a lot with thyroid. So this is where the interplay between stress, your metabolism, and your thyroid now come into play. So it's kind of a bridge here for the next one too. And so it's also going to contribute to your neurotransmitter activity, promoting calmness during stressful times. So again, this is where like being less resilient mentally to stress comes in. When we have low zinc levels, we're more overwhelmed. We're feeling like we can handle less. So this is absolutely essential to make sure that we have the three of those: magnesium, B vitamins, and zinc in plentiful amounts if we are going through a stressful period of our life. Okay. Next up is selenium. So selenium is honestly a critical one for thyroid health. It also will have its interplay with like stress and hormones, but specifically thyroid health. So when your thyroid is downregulated, you can't lose as much weight. And this is where like thyroid function disorders like Hashimoto's hypothyroidism come from. Selenium is just a critical nutrient that can help with thyroid health. So it will basically it will help regulate thyroid hormone synthesis. So there's not just TSH, but there's T4 and T3 that basically convert into forms down the chain that actually create your body's full thyroid function. So if we don't have adequate selenium levels, then our thyroid is not going to produce all those different hormones at their optimal levels. And then that can lead to an underfunctioning of the thyroid. So if you want to really take good care about your thyroid, take selenium. You can do that through a multivitamin, or you could just eat 1 to 2 Brazil nuts a day. Really random, but like I just crush them up and put them on my oatmeal. And I just eat 1 a day, and it's just going to provide additional selenium. This is one that you do not want to overconsume. So make sure you're paying attention to total selenium levels in your day. You don't want to do more than 1 to 2 Brazil nuts because there is metal toxicity if you do overdo selenium. Okay. Now, lastly, this is one of my favorites is ashwagandha. I've mentioned this already. I've already mentioned the clinical effective dose of 400 to 600 milligrams a day. But this is a root extract as a natural product that honestly I've been using for a while, but it gained popularity probably in the last couple of years. And it really helps with the cortisol curve. So basically, it helps your body naturally produce and flux cortisol at the pattern that it should. So cortisol is not all bad. We need it to go up when we exercise, and we also need it to go up to wake us up in the morning, and we need it to go down at night. The problem is that when we go through periods of chronic stress and it's chronically elevated, is that we see that cortisol does not come up effectively enough in the morning and does not go down effectively enough at night, which leads to us feeling troubled going to sleep, not sleeping well, waking up in the middle of the night, or having trouble getting out of bed. So ashwagandha basically helps regulate that. And so this is a great one to help modulate the stress response because honestly, when you're not sleeping well, everything else gets harder. And then it's just a self-perpetuating cycle where you're more dependent on caffeine and you're having more cravings and you're more likely to store belly fat and like all these things. So basically with ashwagandha, what it really helps with is if you take those 400 to 600 milligrams before bed, it can help with bringing down cortisol before bed, helping you get to sleep, stay asleep better, get more restful sleep, wake up and actually be able to get out of bed without just dragging. And it's absolutely wonderful. I have loved using the supplement. I've used it on and off for like 10 years. It's amazing. You're going to want to look for ashwagandha root extract, the KSM 66, the proper form. Most products have that now. It's pretty widely available, but just make sure to look for that on the label. Now, a couple more supplements that you might want to look into if you have different sort of hormonal imbalances or specific symptoms, but I will put the asterisk on test, don't guess for these. Don't just slap these on based on your symptoms. It's going to be iron. So if you have really heavy periods or you have hormonal imbalances creating really heavy periods until you solve the root cause, you might want to replenish your body with iron because it can lead to extreme fatigue if you are iron deficient. And if you're losing a lot of blood during your cycles, then it's most likely that you're going to become deficient. You can do this through food like spinach, like red meat and things like that, but you can also just supplement with it. If you do supplement with iron, add in vitamin C either through food or through supplementation because vitamin C helps with the absorption of iron. You can also look at chasteberry or dim. These can help with estrogen balance. So this is if you are feeling the after effects of chronic stress on your hormone balance, your cycle health, and maybe you're developing puffiness, acne, gut issues, etc. This is when we can start to look at that. I'm not going to go into detail because we should really be testing our hormones if we are looking at those supplements. So again, do not blindly throw those at anything there. Another one that is not a test, don't guess, is just creatine monohydrate. This is great for anyone who's trying to prevent muscle loss or build muscle and lose fat. It does not create water retention. It does absolutely not. It helps with water retention in the muscle cell. That is not the type of water retention that you feel as puffiness. It's the type of water retention that you feel as strength when you go to the gym, and can help with anti-aging as well, and is one of the most studied and well founded supplements in terms of safety out there. So go to examine.com if you don't believe me. 3 to 5 grams a day for men and women, no loading needed, and it will not cause you to bloat. Lastly, protein powder, just a great quality protein powder. Looking for the label to be transparent in the fact that it does have a amino acid profile of our BCAAs. We want a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio of leucine to isoleucine to valine. That's basically the bare minimum criteria for you to actually get what you need out of the protein itself. Otherwise, go based on flavor, texture, etc. for protein powder because that part is very important for you to enjoy it. I like Core Nutritionals for that specifically. They do a great job with transparent labeling, but they're also freaking delicious. And if you've ever had a protein powder from Costco or Walmart and you've hated it, I promise you, you just need an actual high quality protein, and you'll probably like it. So, whew, all right, that was a lot. I'm out of breath. And that is pretty much the 411 on a lot of what I know about supplements. So that being said, send me a message on Instagram or my email if you want discounts for Nutridyne specifically, and I can definitely help you out there. But yeah, and that's for clients, not clients. I don't make anything off of it, like absolutely zero, to be totally honest with you. But I just give you the pricing that I get because I want you guys to have affordable supplements in a way that benefits you. And let me know if you have any questions or any other requests for other supplements that I cover in the future, or other ways that we can tackle the root of chronic stress, hormone imbalance, etc., because that's a big key component of optimizing your metabolism that I'm growing very, very passionate about. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found value in this. Make sure to share this with someone. And if you found it valuable, if you think it's going to help someone else, share it on your Instagram story, share it with a friend. That is how we grow. That is how we reach more people. So I would appreciate that in return for the information and the value I've provided here today. And I'll see you back here next week.